What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update for you guys. And late last night, this story was breaking about Alejo Veliz of Rosario Central. CL Merlo says that Tottenham are in advanced negotiations to sign 19-year-old striker Alejo Veliz. Rosario Central want to keep him until the end of 2023 as part of the agreement. Matti Moretto says that Tottenham negotiations with Rosario for striker Alejo Veliz are in advance and could be completed in the next few hours. The Mail are reporting that Tottenham talks for Alejo Veliz are at an early stage, but there is confidence from Rosario, who want £30 million, that a deal can be agreed. And then here are the reports from inside Argentina, this time from La Nacion, saying that Tottenham and Rosario are in advanced talks over a €15 million deal. The intention of Rosario leaders is to reach an economic agreement, but also to keep the player until December. Renzo Panic says that Alejo Veliz is joining Tottenham for $15 million, the highest transfer fee in Rosario Central's history. Napoli, AC Milan, Lazio and other Premier League clubs wanted him as well. And Fabrizio Romano says that Veliz has agreed personal terms with Tottenham. The player wants to join. A long-term contract is in place. Negotiations are underway between the clubs, and Rosario Central want to keep Veliz on loan for at least 6 months. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, and it's an exciting potential deal. I'm not going to profess to know too much about him before the links of last night started to come onto social media, and obviously I've looked into him and what kind of striker he is and what we're kind of getting. Obviously, he's a 19-year-old who has been playing in the first team of Rosario now for 3 years. He's made 62 appearances, scored 19 goals, and I know the Argentinian league maybe isn't the best league. It's also not the worst league as well. It's probably better than, maybe not better than the top 5 leagues in Europe, but probably better than anything outside of that, to be honest. So I don't think there's anything to be sniffed at that he's able to score that amount of goals at such a young age. He seems to be a player who is a bit of a passion merchant, you should say. Like, I've seen like the clips of him scoring and then running and jumping into the crowd, jumping on the cages that they have in Argentina is a sight to behold, and that's something that for sure in a Tottenham shirt I think fans will definitely grow to fall in love with. But whether he's ready right now, I think that in terms of what they're saying, a 6-month loan deal back to Rosario, I think probably right now makes more sense for Tottenham, just so he can get as much game time in the first team as possible and help develop himself. From what from hearing from a few people, we've spoken to a TYC journalist, which will be out soon, and I've also heard interviews from other people from who are known for their knowledge on South American football. They have some doubts whether he is ready for to be playing regular football in the Premier League right now, and if he has that sort of quality to be scoring goals regularly and be effective in the Premier League. But the guy is 19, and I think it's kind of a lot to ask for many players at that age to be playing regular football in the Premier League and being successful. So that doesn't worry me too much. I'm glad that we're looking for long-term prospects, especially in the wake of Kane's exit. I want a good long-term prospect who's going to be here for many years. And yes, it's is there a concern that he's not ready right now? If he is going to join right now, that is there a concern he's not ready right now? Maybe there is a bit of concern there, but I'm genuinely excited about what long-term he can bring to Tottenham.
Yeah, and I think with the attributes that he does have, I think it's very different to maybe of the current profile of player that we do have. He's a tall striker. He's a bit of a target man. With his work outside the 6-yard box or outside the box, maybe does have a bit to be desired about. So I think that I didn't really know much before we spoke to this guy from TY Sports, and he did clue us in. So it was really good insight in that video, which will be with you very soon. So look, I think that when you're bringing anyone, there's always going to be that bit of excitement, especially a youngster from the South American League. So I think we got to bide our time with this one and see how it does pan out. But I think when you're looking at it in general, he is an up-and-coming player, scored bags of goals in the Argentinian League at such a young age. So it's something to be excited about, that's for sure.
Well, someone with that kind of record in the top division Argentinian football, do you put him into the first team, or do you say go back on loan 6 months? And
I think it depends how he can settle in with the squad, to be honest, and how much game time he's going to have. Because if he's going to come here and just be second or third choice and not really get much game time, it's probably more valuable for him to get consistent game time where he's kind of number one striker and scoring a lot of goals and where he's comfortable. So
even if Kane leaves?
If Kane leaves, I mean, I would still look to bring in someone like a Gift Orban alongside him. I think Gift can come in probably and play more of a role and more of a successful role in the first team, as opposed to Veliz, who's maybe coming over from South America, is very different than coming over from somewhere like Belgium, where I think a bedding in period is probably going to have to he's going to have to overcome that.
Yeah, for me, if Kane leaves, I mean, either way, I do think it's probably beneficial to him to have a 6-month loan. I think if he's coming now, I think it's because of like he believes in himself and he has that excitement about this new deal that he wants it immediately. But I think if you were to look at this situation objectively, I just think another 6 months in Argentina is probably going to benefit everyone.
Yeah, and even if he has another 6 months in Argentina and comes back at the end of the season or in January, whichever in January it probably will be. Yeah. If he does come back in January, it'll be interesting to see what kind of path he takes from there. Does he come straight into the first team? Do we look for another loan maybe for him in English football, to him to get to grips with things and get more game time than he would get at Tottenham? But look, I think the question is very much in the air because nobody really knows how good this kid is and what he can bring and how quickly it take him to settle in. So I think it's just a waiting game at the moment to see what can actually happen. Right. Next up, let's go back to the Van de Ven deals. Romano broke last night that talks were advancing, and he gave us an update today saying Daniel Levy is leading the final steps of negotiations in order to sign Micky van de Ven from Wolfsburg. Deal is at the final stages. Tottenham have to agree with Wolfsburg the structure of the payment terms and instalments, and it will be complete. Dan Kilpatrick says that Spurs are in advanced talks with Van de Ven now, likely a addition over Tapsoba. Talks ongoing with Wolfsburg, increasingly confident over a £30 million deal plus personal terms expected to be very easy to conclude. So it looks as though this one is very much at the latter stages of being complete. Hopefully we can get him in before Sunday, but I doubt it.
Yeah, that would be. I'm not what this Sunday or next Sunday.
I meant this Sunday, but
this one before the Shakhtar game.
Yeah,
yeah, I doubt that.
Or maybe before the Barcelona game at least.
Yeah, that would be nice. Just have one pre-season game before he gets chucked in at Brentford, assuming that we do play him if he signs before that. Obviously, there's been a bit of conflicting reporting in terms of the price. Some reports have been upwards of 50 million euros.
50?
Yeah, 50 million euros, which is what, nearly 40 million pounds. I saw another one which is 40 million pounds. I saw another one that said it was 30 million plus add-ons, and now Dan Kilpatrick saying 30 million. So maybe these price differences have caused the delay in terms of why we haven't pushed the button earlier. I would be curious to see what the price is, but if it's 30 million, I think it's a fair deal for a 22-year-old centre-back with his kind of qualities and how good he was in the Bundesliga last season. So I'm excited about the prospect. I think he immediately improves our defence, and I think that's exactly what we need. And I think the type of defender he is, someone who's quick, has got really good recovery pace, but there's also a bit of a calmer presence at the back compared to someone like Romero, who's going to be kind of like a full-blooded aggression, and then he's a bit more of the composed kind of defender. So I do think he'll be a good foil for Romero. I do think that he's a good partner. He's left-footed as well, so could work those passing angles and could also fill in left back if need be as well. So I think it's going to be a very good buy for us.
You telling me that we're about to have a left footer on the left-hand side of the fence?
No. Well, we had Ben Davis for a while.
Yeah, but I mean in a back four. I mean, when's the last time we've seen a back four with a left footer? I mean, since Vertonghen. I mean, it's been so long now, man. It's been so long. So music to all our ears that we're finally getting in a centre-back. I think that, for me, there are reservations if he can. There's no reservations for me in the long term with Van de Ven, but there are short-term reservations for me in terms of if he can come in and take to the Premier League like a duck to water and really settle in, because we're going to need that. We're going to need for him to settle in very quickly because he's going to be a first-choice starter in the defence. So I do have a few reservations there, but that doesn't take away the excitement of this deal and what he can bring to Tottenham, because the attributes that he does have, I think, will very much complement Romero, as you keep saying, and I think he is going to be our back two. Hopefully this partnership can flourish really a lot over the next couple of years. So let's hope this deal gets done sooner rather than later. In terms of Edmond Tapsoba, we've got a few updates on him as well, and Patrick Berger of Sport 1 says that Tottenham are pushing to sign Edmond Tapsoba and are planning to make a new offer of 45 million euros plus add-ons. However, Bayern want more and are reluctant to sell the centre-back. Dan Kilpatrick says that Tottenham are continuing negotiations for Edmond Tapsoba, and Spurs do remain way apart from the 40 million valuation that they do have of Tapsoba.
Well, so one of them says the valuation is 45 million. So we're gonna bid 45 million plus add-ons, and Bayern want to weigh more than that. And now Dan Kilpatrick's saying that they value at 40 million. So
no, I think what Dan Kilpatrick means is that it's our valuation of 40 million.
So Bayer Leverkusen are far apart from our 40 million valuation. That makes more sense. And look, it is expensive. We knew who's going to be the more expensive centre back, and as well, the price has probably gone up since they made other sales as well during this transfer window. So it's no surprise that they're not desperate to sell at this point. They've made money already this window. He's their best centre back, so it's going to be very difficult to pry our prime out of Leverkusen. I think it's one of those where I don't see this being done unless we get the Harry Kane money kind of thing. I think Van de Ven will get done regardless, but I think Tapsoba maybe is on ice in case. Then when the Kane money if we get what we want, 100 million, then I think maybe we push the green button on Tapsoba and we get both of them. So and if not, maybe we go for a far cheaper option. So I think we're probably waiting on this one. I would love Tapsoba. I think he's absolutely brilliant. I think he slots straight into the back four. I think right now he's more ready than a Van de Ven, and I think he's a better defender than a Van de Ven. He can almost make an argument he becomes our best centre back potentially if he joins.
Tapsoba, I think he would
potentially, yeah. So I think he'd be a brilliant signing, but it's a lot of money, so that's probably why they're waiting.
It's money that's worth paying, in my opinion. When you're talking about a position that we've been struggling with so many years, we need a complete revolutionise of that position. And if you bring in Van de Ven and Tapsoba, that's what it will give us. And not only can Tapsoba play on the left, he can also play on the right if Kuti ever does get injured or when he goes out to Argentina and stuff like that. So I think it'll be really good options for us to have. And when you're looking at the teams that we're looking to compete with, they've all got a number of good players in those positions, and that's what we need to look to do to get to that. Yes, I get it, we're not in Europe this season, so maybe the need for it this year is a bit less, but still we need to prepare like we are going to be in Europe, especially for not this coming season but the season after. And to bring in a Tapsoba and Van de Ven is what you call revolutionising the back line, in my opinion. And it's a bit frustrating though, because on both of these deals it doesn't seem like any of them have really moved along that much since we first started hearing about it. The prices seem the same on especially Van de Ven, so why the hell have we not got them in earlier than we have?
No, I don't understand it. I don't understand why it's while we're taking this long. And there's if the argument is we're waiting to sell players or anything, but we haven't, because Winks has gone. It doesn't seem as though we're waiting to sell to sign Van de Ven at this point. It seems as though we're in advanced stages now. So it's a bit peculiar. Why not just have done this deal a few weeks ago? And it doesn't seem that we're getting him any cheaper. So.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on and let's talk about Tanguy Ndombele again, as Romano basically just confirmed all the stories that we have brought you over the last couple of days. It first broke out in Turkey, but now Romano is saying that Galatasaray is now considering Tanguy Ndombele as an option for the midfield. Discussions took place to be informed on conditions of the deal. Fred deal looks complicated for Galatasaray. No agreement and currently is on standby. So I guess if they can't get Fred, they will push the button on Tanguy Ndombele potentially. Yeah,
it looks that way. And again, it seems as though Postecoglou had a decision to make between Lo Celso and Ndombele. It looks like he's gone with Lo Celso at this point in time. Lo Celso looks a good fit for the team, and he's been playing in pre-season, looking good. So it does leave Ndombele probably out in the cold, and if Galatasaray are willing to take on the financial windfall that it's going to take to basically get him and pay the wages and give us a transfer fee, I think it probably suits everyone. Romano doesn't seem to think it's as far along as maybe some of the Turkish reports are saying. There's an 8 million euro bid on the table, so we'll have to wait and see what their bid actually is. But it seems as though this one seems fairly likely if Galatasaray are willing to pay the wages.
Me personally, I don't really care about the transfer fee that you're getting in. I think I would take anything to get his wages off the books, even 5 million. And I think, in terms of what that means for Galatasaray, I think Galatasaray, it's a great deal for them to get someone in for that lower price. I don't think it will be that lower price. I think it'll probably be closer to 10 than it will be to 5. But in my opinion, take 5 and get those wages off the book. I think it will do us the world of good. Next up, let's talk about Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg once again. And 90 Min say Atletico Madrid are reluctant to pay more than £30 million for Pierre. Tottenham will not stand in his way if a deal can get done. So, I mean, it's the same thing. I guess if Felix goes to Barcelona, that might open the door for this deal to get done.
Yeah, 30 million euros, is that 25 million pounds? I don't think it's a fantastic price from Tottenham's point of view. I do think Hojbjerg is worth around 30 million. So I think in a perfect world, you probably reject that until they're getting the price point that you want. Because I think to replace Hojbjerg for someone of similar quality, it's going to take at least 30 million anyway. We were hanging on that Kessie deal, but it looks like might be going to Saudi Arabia now because he's in advanced talks with Al Ali. So if he's off the table for a cheap price, where does that leave us in terms of replacing Hojbjerg for a cheaper fee than maybe we would have liked? I think if we're hoping to get Kessie, that's off the table. So I think that kind of in a weird way puts the price back up for Hojbjerg to 30 million.
Yeah, I mean, it depends as well because we are stacked in that position. Even without Hojbjerg and without Ndombele, we've still got enough numbers in central midfield. So I guess it's just a case of if Ange thinks that's good enough to move forward into the next season with those options.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. If you're counting Bentancur there, then it's a player who might not even be fit for at least half the season, at least, you should say. And then you've got Sarr and Skip, who are both very young. Do you want to be relying on them every week? As much as I want the development, give them game time, don't get me wrong. Do I want to be relying on them every week? I don't know. So that leaves Maddison, Basuma, and then you probably do need someone like
Lo Celso as well.
You've got Lo Celso. I think you could still keep a Hojbjerg around. I wouldn't cheap on him just to get rid of him. I still think you can keep him around even with those options, and then maybe in January revisit it.
What if he just really wants to go?
If he's desperate to go, then yeah, I guess get rid of him. 25 million. I'm not okay. If he's good, if he's really unhappy here, then yeah, that's fine. But if he's like, look, if you agree a deal, then I'm happy to go. But if not, I'll always, give my everything for Tottenham. Then yeah, I'm happy to keep him.
I'm sure he would anyway. That's the kind of mentality he does have, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't believe he'd be pushing for a move that hard.
Well, a player that is pushing for a move is Clement Lenglet, and Mundo Deportivo say that Barcelona are currently in negotiations with Al Nassr over a deal for Clement Lenglet. However, there's always a however with Clement Lenglet. Says Gerard Romero says Al Nassr are ready to pay 15 million euros to Barcelona for Clement Lenglet, but he wants to join Tottenham Hotspur, who cannot match this offer. At the moment, Lenglet has no intentions of going to Saudi Arabia, although there is a bid. So just take the money, man. Take the money.
Go over to Saudi. Stop putting us through this. Apparently, I was just reading now, AC Milan have come in for him, apparently.
Really?
But apparently, Barca have now upped their price to 15 million euros.
These snakes.
So, all this talk about, Tottenham getting him for 5 million or whatever, and even Tottenham trying to convince Barca to let him go on a free just to get the wage of the books.
This is good for us. This is good for us.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't want him to come to Spurs. I don't think we should be paying any sort of money for him. If you're getting him on a free, I mean, even then I don't want him, but there's an argument for it. But if you're going to enter a bidding war for him, I don't see the point in getting involved in that whatsoever. Especially with Van de Ven coming in now, you've got Davis as a backup. You might as well keep that. Why sign Lenglet? It doesn't make any sense when you've got Davis there now. So.
And even Dyer for one more season as well.
I don't see the point in entertaining Lenglet back to Tottenham. I saw a report said he prefers a switch to Tottenham than to Saudi Arabia. It's like, why are we giving him the option? Just don't give him the option, man. Just don't even see us as an option.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you're looking at players like that who are not like fully incensed, like, oh, I need to be playing week in, week out. They come to Tottenham. They train in these facilities. They play in this stadium. And I mean, it's like a dream for them, right? Mm-hmm. They're getting the good wages as well. London, London living and all that. I mean, can you blame Clement Lenglet for wanting to come back?
Of course not. I'm sure he had a good time at Spurs, and he did play fairly regularly, so I don't blame him for wanting to come back.
But I think if we can go into next season, if we can get these Van de Ven and Tosin deals over the line, I mean, Van de Ven and Tapsoba would just be a dream, and I think that would be obviously everyone's first kind of hope for next season. But if that's not going to happen, and it's going to be Tosin and Van de Ven, I think that massively improves on what we were last season, and hopefully it can give Ange the kind of platform to build on for next season. But if Harry Kane does go, in my opinion, there is no excuse not to go get Tapsoba.
Agreed.
So that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories we brought to you today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.